I have lived in the Lehigh Valley for over 15 years, and here's what no one told me about the Lehigh Valley before I actually moved here. First off, you're probably on this channel because you're also curious about moving to the Lehigh Valley and the sales prices that we see here. The median sales price of homes in our area is around $375,000. That might look super affordable if you're coming from New Jersey, where the taxes are insanely high, or New York, which, let's face it, it's just expensive there. But once you actually start looking in our area around that price point, most buyers are going to be surprised of what you can get. Add in the cold winters and the aging housing stock in our area, the rush hour on 78 and 22, living here can look different than you might expect. This doesn't mean that the Lehigh Valley is a bad place to live. For the right person, it can be an incredible place to call home. A lot of people love it here. That's why you're on this channel. But the people who end up the happiest here usually understand what they're getting into. They understand there's a trade-off for living here. In this video, I'm breaking down who tends to thrive in the Lehigh Valley, who sometimes struggles, and the things most buyers only realize after they have relocated to the area. And stick around until the end because I'm also going to walk you through what homes actually cost in the Lehigh Valley, from fixer-uppers around $150,000 all the way up to $4 million estates, and why that $375,000 median price point doesn't always tell the full story. Picture waking up on Saturday morning and deciding whether you want to hike South Mountain, bike part of the D&L trail, or if you're like me, you might want to grab brunch in downtown Bethlehem before walking through the historic district. That's everyday life for a lot of people living here in the Lehigh Valley, which, let's face it, that is awesome. But before we keep going, if we haven't met, my name is Bernadette Rabel. I'm a realtor here in Lehigh Valley, and I make videos that help people like you relocating understand what it actually feels like to live in places like Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, and all the surrounding areas of Lehigh Valley. If you're exploring the idea of moving here, this video will give you a clearer picture of the lifestyle, the housing market, the trade-offs that you're going to need when you are part of living in the Lehigh Valley and when you're living in Pennsylvania. One of the things people fall in love with about Lehigh Valley is the access to the outdoors. For a quick walk or run, the Carl Sterner Arch Trail in Easton is one of my favorite spots to go. It's around 2.4 miles, so it's not too big of a trail. However, it's filled with sculptures and artwork. It winds around the Bushkill Creek, and you're absolutely going to love it. You get a little bit of nature, and then you also get that little bit of the urban vibe because you're going to end up in Easton, probably eating brunch. It's dog friendly and scenic, and honestly, one of the most unique urban trails you'll find anywhere. Seriously. If you enjoy biking or hiking, the Lehigh Valley also has miles of rail trails, paths like Ironton Rail Trail, the Norbath Trail, sections on the D&L Trail. You can actually take the D&L Trail all the way down to past Bucks County. It's freaking awesome. People love it here. You get to see peregrine falcons and osprey and bald eagles. It's just a sight to see for anyone. These trails are peaceful, flat, and perfect for biking, running, or long weekend walks. And if getting out on the water is more of your style, there are plenty of options here. You can kayak or paddleboard at Leisure Lake. You could take a quick drive to Lake Macungie, which is right outside of Lehigh Valley in Bucks County. You could launch on the Lehigh River near the Lehigh Water Gap, or explore the Delaware River through the Delaware Canal State Park. One of the hidden gems in the area, and I think a lot of people that still live here don't even know about this, but it's the Meriton Wildlife Sanctuary, where hiking trails climb high above the Delaware River, and it gives you incredible views. And if you're like me, and again, you love nature and seeing birds and you see deer, you're gonna see everything there, I promise. But the outdoor lifestyle here also changes with the seasons. In the winter, a lot of our locals are gonna head to Blue Mountain or Bear Creek for skiing, snowboarding, or even tubing. Being able to hit the slopes just a short drive from home is something many people relocating here don't expect, and they absolutely love. And after a long day of sports, the Lehigh Valley also has an awesome food scene. If you're a foodie, you're gonna love it here. Try happy hour at our local restaurants like Mele. It's always a great time. Brunch at Union and Finch is one of my favorites. And if you're looking for a dinner spot people travel from the outside of our region for, you need to try Bolit. It's one of the best French restaurants in our area. For nightlife and entertainment, it's definitely a little more relaxed than Philadelphia and New York, but There's still plenty of happening here. You have concerts and festivals at the Steel Stacks in Bethlehem, events at the PPL Center in Allentown, and entertainment at Wind Creek. There's always something to do in the Lehigh Valley. One of my favorite things to do here is simply walk through historic Bethlehem, pop into the small shops, and stop at lunch at Hotel B. The hotel sits on a site of the first house built in Bethlehem in 1741 and still carries a hospitality and traditions started by the Moravian settlers over 280 years ago. And I will tell you this, one of the rooms upstairs is haunted. So, you might want to ask about that if you're staying at Hotel B. Now, before we get into the downsides of living here, it helps to understand why people relocate to the Lehigh Valley in the first place. Location plays a huge role. The Lehigh Valley sits about an hour from Philadelphia and roughly around 90 minutes from New York City. The proximity makes it appealing for people who want more space and lower cost of living while still staying connected to those major metro areas. Another factor shaping the future of the region is job growth. We have a ton of young professionals that flood our area, and we're gonna have a lot more of those coming up soon because Eli Lilly is building a massive pharmaceutical manufacturing facility here that is expected to bring around 850 jobs by 2031. So Lehigh Valley, get ready because we're getting an influx of more people. Projects like this are one of the reasons why Lehigh Valley continues to grow and attract new residents. Healthcare is another major strength in our region. The Lehigh Valley has dozens of hospitals, outpatient centers, medical facilities. Major health networks like Lehigh Valley Health Network and St. Luke's provide extensive medical care throughout the area. I always tell my clients, if you throw a stone, you're gonna hit a medical center or hospital. But living here isn't perfect, and there are a few things people relocating here are often surprised by. And sometimes they leave. They call me and they wanna leave. And here's why. First of all, winters can be tough. They're awful. It's the Northeast. Expect snow, expect cold, and expect gray. Some years they're brutally cold, which avid skiers might enjoy. Not myself, but avid skiers enjoy. Other years they're gray, muddy, and just really long. Traffic is another thing people don't always expect. If you're coming from somewhere from the south, some people are thinking there's not a lot of traffic because there's so much, especially down in Florida. But when they get here, there's really no difference. It's just as congested. During rush hour, routes like 78 and 22 can become heavily congested, especially with commuters traveling between Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Another reality of the housing market here is that many homes are resale properties. We don't have a ton of new construction compared to our southern states. A lot of the housing stock was built long before today, so buyers expecting brand new construction everywhere are sometimes surprised by how much updating some homes need, especially for the price point here. And this leads to something important that people relocating to our area should understand. Not everyone thrives in the Lehigh Valley. Believe me, many people have called me and put their houses up for sale and move somewhere else, and that's okay. This area tends to attract people who love the outdoors, want more space, appreciate a slower pace of life while still having access to those larger cities. Families often love the Lehigh Valley because they get more house for their money and enjoy access to parks and trails and community and just events. But if you're looking for a nonstop nightlife, extensive public transportation, or the fast pace of a major city, the Lehigh Valley may feel quieter compared to places like New York or Philadelphia. Some people find it a little boring, maybe a little stale, and maybe even a little stuffy at times. Now let's talk about the housing market because that's why you're probably here too. The median home price, like I said before, is around $375,000, which is significantly lower than parts of New Jersey and New York and even other parts of Pennsylvania, to be honest with you. But the number doesn't always tell the full story. At the lower end of the market, you can find a fixer-upper, maybe around $150,000. Move into the mid-range market and you'll typically see a lot of 1990 colonial homes. Some are updated, some of them really do need those renovations. It's like older stock here, you know? Newer home construction communities do exist in our area, but many of those homes start around $700,000 or higher depending on the size and the location. At the top end of our market, the Lehigh Valley does have many luxury estates, shockingly, because our median home price is only $375,000. We even have an estate here that's $4 million. Another financial advantage people relocating here appreciate are the property taxes, especially if you're coming from New Jersey, because you're taxed out of there by now. So property taxes in Pennsylvania are much lower generally, which is one of the reasons we have so many buyers relocate right across the river. Lehigh Valley tends to reward people who appreciate nature, community, and a balance between small town charm and access to major cities. And if you're trying to decide between Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton, make sure to watch my next video where I break down the differences between those three areas and which one might actually be best for your lifestyle.